Have you ever wondered if there's a kind of blueprint for how we think, how we act, and how we connect with each other? I'm not talking about some philosophical idea, but an actual mathematical formula. Well, today we're taking a deep dive into a really fascinating document that proposes just that, a potential formula for reality itself.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. At first glance, this looks like something straight out of a theoretical physics textbook, right? It's complex, it's pretty intimidating, but what if I told you this equation claims to describe something deeply personal? We're talking about your own state of mind, your decisions, and your interactions with the world around you. So what on earth could this possibly mean?
And that's the central question we're going to explore. We're about to go on a journey to try and decipher this formula and the incredibly ambitious theory behind it, which is all laid out in a document called the Coherence Field.
So what is this theory really trying to do? Let's just strip away the complex math for a second and get right to the core idea. What's the goal here?
According to the document, the goal is to create a unified and falsifiable field for agency and shared worlds. Now I know, that's a mouthful, so let's break it down. Agency is really just our ability to act and make choices, to do things. And shared worlds, well, that refers to our collective reality, the one we all build and experience together. So really, this is a theory about how you, as an individual, operate and how all of us operate together.
And this is where that crazy equation starts to make a little more sense. C is your coherence. Just think of it as your level of focus or clarity. C star is your ideal balanced state, your sweet spot. SF is the effective stress you're under. A is the positive boost you get from following a good plan. Then you've got Kappa, which represents how much you're influenced by the people around you. And finally, Delta, which is just Entropic Drag. The universe's natural tendency for things to get chaotic and messy. All of a sudden, the math starts to look less like physics and more like a recipe for keeping your head on straight.
But this theory isn't just about what's going on in our heads. It's about action. And for that, it introduces a really cool concept called the Realness Gate. This is basically the system's strict, rule-based process for turning a potential idea into an actual committed action.
The document uses this exact phrase, commit an action if and only if. That if is key. It's proposing that our best decisions aren't just random whims. No, they should follow a precise, almost computational rule to actually be effective.
And that rule really boils down to a simple two-question test. First, is the signal clear enough? The theory actually quantifies this with something called the Actualization Index, and it has to hit a certain threshold. And second, is the outcome going to be positive? You have to be confident that this action will improve your focus, your coherence. It's only if you get a yes to both of those questions that you pull the trigger and act.
And get this, it gets even more rigorous when other people are involved. For any kind of group action, the theory demands that these other specific numerical thresholds for things like connection and mutual understanding have to be met. You can't just go for it. The math requires proof that everyone in the group is genuinely on the same page.
So all this sounds pretty wild, right? A theory is just a cool story unless it can be tested. And this is where the coherence field framework gets really, really serious. It doesn't just present ideas, it proposes specific, high-stakes experiments that are designed to try and prove itself wrong.
This commitment to what's called falsifiability, that's a cornerstone of good science. The authors don't just put their ideas out there, they offer what they call Killshot criteria. They're basically saying, look, if you run these specific experiments and you don't get these results, then our theory is wrong, period. That is a bold and frankly a very scientifically respectable move to make. Okay, so the first test is called choice amplification. Imagine you're making choices that seem random, but behind the scenes, they're secretly fixed. The theory predicts that if your internal clarity, that ZA signal we talked about, is high enough, your choices will actually start to deviate from pure chance in a measurable way. If they don't, boom, the kill shot is triggered, and a huge part of the theory is rejected.
Test number 2, Cross-Dyad Synchrony, looks at the connection between people. You know that feeling when you just click with someone? Well, this test tries to measure that literally. It monitors the physiology of two people who are interacting, their heart rates, their brainwaves, and it predicts that when people are really in sync, their bodies will physically sync up too, and that this physical connection will actually lead to better performance. If that sync is no stronger than what you'd see with a random pairing, well, then the whole idea about social influence fails.
And now for the most mind-bending experiment of them all, the chaotic pendulum bias. This test proposes that a person, just by using focused intention, can influence the movement of a chaotic physical system, in this case, a double pendulum. The prediction is that their intention can actually make the pendulum hang out in a specific area more than it should by chance. And if it fails, if the pendulum just keeps doing its random thing, then the entire massive claim that our consciousness can affect the physical world is refuted.
So after exploring the formula, the rules for action, and these incredibly high-stakes experiments, what are we really left with? Well, the document suggests that this whole framework actually operates on two very distinct levels. And this separation is a really crucial point. On one side, you have the empirical core. This is the hard science, the math, the code, the data sets, and those 3 testable, falsifiable experiments. Then, on the other side, you have what the document calls the hermeneutic, or the UI layer. Think of this as the user interface, the stories, the metaphors, the philosophical ideas that make all that hard science relatable and understandable to us humans. So when you put it all together, what the coherence field is attempting is, well, it's extraordinary. It's proposing a single, unified framework that mathematically connects our inner state of mind, our actions, our social relationships, and yes, maybe even our interaction with the physical world itself.
And that leaves us with a really profound question to think about. If a theory like this could ever actually be validated by its own Killshot experiments, where would we even draw the line between a scientific model that just describes our reality and a new philosophy that tells us how to live within it? It's a pretty fascinating thought.